At the moment, I'm reading a book called Epeirogon. It's absolutely not a book that I would normally read. I read all the time, and I tend to read, I suppose, old-fashioned type literature. But this is quite a modern book, and my grandma recommended it, which is why I'm reading it. It's about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, but it is still very literary fiction. It's not non-fiction or anything. It's about two fathers who lost children in the conflict, and it's really heavy. Usually I like to read something not quite that personal, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I'd recommend it if you're looking for, I suppose, prose which is quite poetic and non-linear, and potentially a heavy read that might put you to sleep or make you feel a bit upset. Yeah, there were heaps. I guess the one that is probably most relevant to this podcast is one that I remember Dr. Weeder, who I wrote that story with in Year 12. She gave every member of her Year 12 lit class, at least when I was there, she'd kind of give everyone a book that she thought kind of suited them in some kind of a way. And I remember she gave me, after reading that story, Brideshead Revisited, which is it's an old classic. It's a Penguin classic, and it's kind of set in probably, I think, late 1800s, early 1900s England, and it's kind of about high society and all of the kind of the trappings that come with that. Although set in England rather than America, which is where a lot of those kind of books are set, and that definitely had a big impact, I think. Not necessarily that I could relate to it necessarily, but in terms of the way it was written and things like that, it definitely guided a lot of my reading and, I guess, attitudes towards things since. Yeah, absolutely. Part of it is reading fiction is something that you don't get when, for example, you're writing in a professional sense, or you're writing even an essay in English class, or you're writing an essay in economics, or going to uni. None of those things you get. Basically, you're writing because it sounds beautiful and it sounds good. And so if basically the world is kind of shifting a little bit more, I think, to practical writing, and particularly having done a law degree, after doing an English degree, I find that in writing in a professional sense, it really does try and kill the beauty of it, and you're just trying to communicate in the barest way possible. And there is a place for that, obviously, but I think the importance of reading fiction is to make sure that we don't lose the fact that language can be beautiful as well as practical.